Hello and welcome to Front Up, the Machias edition. I'm Anna Mather, and today we have with us Tony Maker, the principal of Elm Street School. Tony, thank you for coming in today.
Glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Well, a long time ago, it feels like it's a long time ago, I was a student at Elm Street School, and I really enjoyed it. I had a great experience. And I came back, and you're the principal, and my daughter is going there now again. But it's a very different school. It's a whole entirely different school now. It's no longer a local small town school. And I would like to know, is it considered a consolidated, or is it it's just separate? It's separated from the district.
Okay, let's go back and let me age myself a little bit.
Please do.
I do believe, if I remember correctly, that when you left Elm Street School and went to Washington Academy as a freshman, was my first year teaching at Elm Street School. So that will age both of us.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if you attended Elm Street School before the addition was built on.
I did. For 7 years I was there.
But when they built the gym and so forth, that was all there?
Yeah, my sixth grade.
Okay. So what has happened since then? At that time we were part of SAD 77.
Yes.
In 2005, the town of East Machias withdrew from SAD 77 and became an independent municipal school district. And at that time, since that time, the school population has increased. Now, the year after you left, which I'm going to get the year wrong, but it probably was 93, my first year there, there were 227 students in Elm Street School. That was the largest I remember.
Okay.
So at that time there was a large student population.
Okay.
It dropped to a low in 2004-2005 of about 137. We're now back at just over 200, 202 is where we started the school year at. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I think location is probably a big one of those reasons. East Machias being centrally located, close to Machias, close to the service center. It's convenient for parents to have their child in the school, that if they're going to work, coming from work, it's convenient for them if they have to leave work. So that's one piece. I'd like to think that another large piece is the education that's provided at Elm Street School, and the services that we're able to provide. And we were able to expand some of the offerings when we did become an independent school district. Now, just quickly, without going into too much detail about economics and the financial pieces, in a district, everything is shared by the towns within the district, which basically says the schools within the district should look, as far as their academic programming and the services they offer, identical, regardless of what school that you're in. And then how it's paid for is based upon population and valuation, town's valuation. When East Machias became an independent school, they then were able to keep the state subsidy for their town, and thus they were able to use that to provide music, which had been there for a while, a full-time art teacher, gifted and talented program, violin program,
so a lot
algebra.
of the things that actually other schools are cutting, you're able to
We were able to keep. And I think that has been attractive for folks, so we were able to do that.
Yet you have people come in from all over. I mean, all over the district, formerly known as the district. You have people come from Cutler, Machias, Port Machias, Whiting.
And there's different ways that happens. Some, if they were there prior to, or they had siblings there prior to us becoming an independent school, they were grandfathered in, so to speak, that if they had they could stay. Other than that, anybody new coming in has to either apply for a superintendent transfer, or they would have to be willing to pay the state tuition.
But you have people doing that?
We don't have anybody currently paying tuition in a town that has their own school. If they come from an unorganized territory, Trescott, Marion, so forth, or a place that doesn't have a school that has school choice, Rogues Bluff, Marshfield, so forth, then their town pays tuition for them to go where they choose. Individual parents, we did have, at one point we had 1 or 2 students from over in the Addison area whose parents were paying tuition for them to come. And part of that also was our close proximity to Washington Academy.
Yeah.
And they felt their students were going to go to Washington Academy, and it allowed them to get better prepared with the specialized classes in the 7th and 8th grade of changing classes and having specialties in math and science and language arts to prepare them for high school.
So you do that at Elm Street, they switch classes around?
6th, 7th, and 8th grade, yes.
Okay. So you're facing some choices to make some changes at the school. Is that correct? As far as the renovation?
There has been at the last statewide election, the townspeople approved for the town to borrow a sum of money just short of $1 million, $987,000, to do a renovation project and a roof project on the school. The roof on the school, especially on the original building, is a flat roof. The membrane was replaced 22 years ago, but we do have some leaks in the roof. So the roof needs to be replaced. At the same time, with the growth of our school, we did talk about if we're going to do a roof project, now would be the time to add to our space as well. So a pitched roof will be put on the entire school structure, and there will be 3 classrooms added on the building on the lower end of the building.
What classrooms will those be? I mean,
at this point in time, we're not looking to split any classrooms. What we're looking to do is to free up space. For example, currently our music teacher travels from classroom to classroom. And as wonderful as it is to have a full-time music teacher, your program never gets the credibility that it deserves if you don't have your own space. When you go down the hall with a cart and you go into a classroom and try to teach, especially as you go to the older students, they realize this is just a traveling teacher. You know, to have a space, to have a room. So to have a music room, one of those would be a music room. Our art room is currently in a position that's not in the best, so we're going to move the art room. We're hoping to take the center part of the school, the central part, that are currently classrooms, make that an art room, a music room. The final details haven't been worked out. We're looking at 3 classrooms at this time, and it looks like right now will be the grades that hold 2, 3, and 4 will actually move into the new classrooms. We also currently have a very small special ed room that needs more space. They will move into one of those vacant classrooms. We currently have times where we have students that are practicing violins in the locker room. We have IEP meetings that take place in the library, which is fine, except now the library can't be used for what it was intended to be used for. Students can't go in and read, they can't check out books because there's important parent meetings going on, so we do need that space.
Yes, that's smart. So what about, I know that some people have had concerns with old, outdated textbooks.
That's always an issue.
Yeah.
There is no question. And the issue you fight with when you're dealing with textbooks, math, you can go deeper with math because the concepts pretty well stay the same. There may be a different program. You find science is very key. And we do have our textbooks in science in grades 5 through 8 are fairly recent. They're within 5 years. Below that, there is no question. And to have a revolving textbook so that you're replacing those every 3 to 5 years is very important. However, the difficulty that comes with that is in the movement that's going on not only statewide but nationally with going to the Common Core curriculum, you need to make sure that your textbooks are going to address those issues that either statewide or nationally that the powers that be have determined these are the essential things that we want all students to learn. And they're still in that process. So to jump ahead and buy a textbook that we find a year down the road doesn't cover those Common Core standards, even though they may be important to us, and that's a balancing act, because we go through those Common Cores and make a decision. Okay, for us and the children in our area, these are the things that we think are important for them to learn.
Well, exactly. That's key. Do you find that like the federal requirements that they want you to do, is it a conflicting of interest for you if you want to, like if you think as local, in a local small community, we think certain things should be taught or our kids should be directed in a certain direction, but then we have these federal requirements and we have to teach all this other stuff. Is there a conflict of interest?
It can be a conflict, and I think what we have to remember is that our local communities and where those children are going to school, and believe it or not, some people will come here because they want their children to be educated in a local community with those types of concepts. Whether, I mean, our local industries, that needs to be part of our curriculum.
But it's not.
So, well, it can be. Here's where the balancing act is. I think in some ways in 1996, 1997, when the Maine learning results came out, there was a tendency to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There was a tendency to say, okay, the Maine learning results are what we have to teach. And therefore, those things that we taught locally, if it's a rustic county and it was agriculture with the potato farming, if it's here, whether it's blueberrying or lumbering or fishing or whatever is here, well, we can't do that anymore because we've got these things that we have to cover.
Yeah.
And we found that with those learning results, we were, to use an agricultural term, we were plowing a very big field, but we weren't getting very deep.
Yeah.
There was no root system.
Yeah.
And we have backed up. The last 3 or 4 years we've said, okay, there are some basics that are very important that we cannot leave out, whether we're talking mathematically and whether we're talking about a student that we really want a goal that when they leave 3rd grade, they're reading at grade level, because we certainly understand that a student who's not reading well past the 3rd grade, as they move into more content